The most excruciating experience was observing my wife getting ready for an evening with her boss, Mark Diamond. She adorned herself in alluring attire, meticulously crafted her makeup and hair, and donned a dress and high heels previously unseen by me. I felt a sense of betrayal, jealousy, and anger coursing through me. It was evident she invested all this effort for Mark, not for me, despite my relentless efforts to provide for our family. Our intimate life had always been fulfilling, and Jessica had consistently been attentive and open. After 2 decades of marriage, I harbored unwavering trust in her, save for that one unsettling night a month prior at her company's dinner. Mark's undue attention towards her, marked by a smirk directed at me after a dance with my wife, planted a seed of suspicion in my mind. The situation exacerbated when I confronted Jessica the following day, only to have her staunch defense of Mark validate my apprehensions. Suddenly, her late meetings and skipped lunches assumed a sinister significance that demanded immediate attention. Jessica served as Mark's personal assistant, while Mark, the managing partner of a prestigious law firm, reveled in displaying his opulence through luxury cars, jewelry, and his much younger trophy wife, Stella. He derived pleasure from mocking others, including me, and I vividly recalled his derision of my profession during one of our encounters. Despite the financial stability I provided through my modest job selling screws and fasteners to retail giants, Mark's belittlement stung. Our comfortable life in a close-knit community with supportive friends seemed idyllic, but Mark's ridicule of my livelihood in front of my wife cast a shadow over our happiness. It wasn't merely his arrogance that irked me, but also Jessica's defense of him following his public humiliation of me. Her laughter in response to his mockery ignited a fury within me, prompting my discreet exit from the gathering. To her credit, Jessica later approached me to address the issue, albeit with attempts to downplay its significance. Despite her reassurances, doubts lingered, and in hindsight, I recognized that I may have overlooked warning signs. I wasn't a domineering figure like Mark, nor did I boast $1 million income, but I took pride in providing for my family and nurturing a harmonious home. However, Mark's intrusion into our lives threatened to unravel the foundation of trust and contentment that I had worked tirelessly to cultivate. I wouldn't remain passive. I understand the allure of Mark. He exudes confidence, with his alpha demeanor, commanding presence, and undeniable charm. As the successful, affluent partner, he naturally draws people to him. Jessica, his loyal confidant at the firm, was no exception. Despite his trophy wife, Mark seemed to have it all, even coveting another man's wife. Determined to validate my suspicions, I swiftly took action in the following week. 6 audio recording devices and 5 video cameras arrived, and I wasted no time setting up surveillance. Strategically placing cameras in our bedroom, master bath, and living room, I ensured comprehensive coverage of our home. With live streaming capabilities and high-resolution recording, I aimed to capture every detail of Jessica's interactions and activities. Discreetly concealed audio devices supplemented the surveillance, strategically positioned in her belongings and our living spaces. As I prepared for a business trip, Jessica showered me with affection, reinforcing the facade of our loving relationship. Despite her tender gestures, doubts gnawed at me. Yet, her declarations of love and intimacy during our final moments together stirred conflicting emotions. Her tearful expressions of devotion and promises of eternal love momentarily assuaged my suspicions, fostering a sense of closeness that momentarily weakened my resolve. Despite the temptation to abandon my plans, I maintained my course, departing for my trip with a heavy heart. As I left, we exchanged affectionate farewells, but beneath the surface, uncertainty lingered, overshadowing our intimate moments. I embarked on the 3-hour journey to the hotel, a solitary drive allowing ample time for contemplation. Despite 6 months of seeking distractions, aside from 2 unsettling encounters with her boss, namely his smug demeanor and humiliating behavior, nothing had changed. A wry smile crossed my lips as I acknowledged my own foolishness and paranoia. Upon reaching the hotel, I swiftly checked into my room, seeking solace in the familiar comfort of the king-size bed. After a brief moment to settle in, I powered up my laptop, intending to catch up on any work-related emails. Curiosity led me to access the server in my attic, eager to test the remote viewing system. Although I anticipated minimal activity, I was compelled to ensure its functionality. As the video playback commenced, I fast-forwarded through the footage, accelerating time until the moment I spotted her in our bedroom. Returning to normal speed, I observed my wife, radiant and alluring, engaged in a phone conversation. Yet, what unfolded caught me off guard: a clandestine dialogue with Mark, her boss, initiated just an hour after my departure. Eavesdropping on her half of the conversation, I was gripped by disbelief as she disclosed my absence and eagerly arranged for Mark's clandestine visit. Their conversation dripped with anticipation, discussing logistics and expressing mutual affection. The dissonance between her declarations of love to me and her betrayal unfolded in stark contrast, leaving me bewildered and heartbroken. For the ensuing hour, I remained transfixed as my once loving wife transformed into a vision of desire, meticulously preparing to rendezvous with her lover. Each moment spent adorning herself in lingerie, high heels, and makeup felt like a dagger to my heart. The realization that she reserved such fervent passion for another ignited a tempest of anger and jealousy within me, shattering the illusion of our marital bliss. She was doing it all for Mark, not her faithful husband. The question of whether Mark would come over tonight was soon answered when the doorbell rang. I observed Mark walking into my house, sharing a deep kiss with Jessica in real time, captured by the video camera. I took a close-up of their kiss, an image that caused me to vomit for the first time that night. He complimented Jessica, remarking, "Wow, baby, you look amazing in that dress. I can't wait to rip it off your desirable body and make love to you all night long," with a wide smile directed at her. While their exchange fueled my anger, it transformed into unbearable pain when I witnessed her taking his hand and leading him into our bedroom. The pain intensified as I watched her undress him, revealing a man with a robust physique and six-pack abs. As I observed this scene, a mixture of jealousy, rage, and anger consumed me. Yet, a peculiar sense of admiration for their audacity emerged. After the second bout of vomiting, I endured listening to them engage in personal activities for the next hour, realizing my marriage was over. I acknowledged that I shouldn't have allowed it to bother me, but their conversation proved to be the most painful part of the night. As they lay together, he initiated a dialogue, mentioning my absence, noting that I was away for a few nights, making her all his for the next 2 days. She responded with enthusiasm, expressing her thrill that he could stay the night and how she had wanted to wake up next to him for so long. She confirmed her affection, stating that she loved being with him. He continued with anticipation, expressing his excitement about having her over and over again all night, while her husband worked hard. In a moment of self-awareness, she remarked on the situation, calling it foolish. She reminded him to behave, stating that she loved her husband and he was a good person. He questioned their affair, asking why she let him have closeness with her, mentioning that they were both married and they should just enjoy the time they had together. She agreed, saying it made sense. He confessed his feelings, stating, "The realization that she gave him more love and affection than his wife or any other woman he had been with hit me hard." For him, it went beyond mere intimacy. He cherished the way she made him feel. Jessica's revelation inflicted a deep wound, as the love he professed was meant to be solely for me. As I continued to observe their interactions, embraces, kisses, and conversations, another exchange pierced through. Mark questioned if her husband satisfied her as much as he did. While acknowledging her husband's prowess, he claimed to offer something different, something inexplicable. Overwhelmed with sadness, hurt, and a profound sense of loss, I shut down the computer, unable to bear the betrayal unfolding within my own home. In bed, grappling with anger and insomnia, I confronted the grim reality awaiting me, a future marred by pain and the pursuit of retribution. Upon my return home, everything outwardly appeared normal, filled with love and respect, as if nothing had transpired. Jessica's warm greeting, complete with hugs and kisses, seemed genuine, yet my affection for her had morphed into disgust, eliciting a visceral reaction. Despite my inner turmoil, I maintained the facade of normalcy, playing my part convincingly. I meticulously organized the recordings and videos, backing them up in the cloud and encrypting files on my computer. Over the next 2 weeks, every moment spent with Jessica was deliberate, devoid of any opportunity for clandestine encounters. Her inquiry about my next trip hinted at their desire for my absence. One morning, while she drove to work, I overheard their conversation. "When will your husband leave town again?" she inquired. I'm not sure, but I'll find out. It has to happen soon, baby, came the reply. Aware of their intentions, I strategically planned a one-night trip, ensuring his visit coincided with my absence. The plan took shape as I watched a movie on TV that same evening, my cheating wife asking, "Darling, when is my next trip?" Attempting to control my anger, I responded in a joking voice, "Honey, are you trying to get rid of me? Do you have a secret lover who comes when I'm not there?" She maintained her composure, showing no signs of guilt. "Do not be silly. I like it when you're home. I hope you don't have to leave, and I'm wondering if your travel has been cut back," she replied. "No, sorry, honey. My job still requires me to travel. Yes, I have an evening appointment next Tuesday, and I'll be back sometime on Wednesday," I said in a convincing tone. "I hate it when you leave. I wish you didn't have to travel like that. I miss you so much when you're gone," she expressed, coming over to hug me, kiss me deeply, and making me feel more loved than I could explain. Despite realizing that she was giving the same love to another man, I felt an intense urge to scream and throw her to the floor. However, I maintained my composure and continued to work as usual, knowing that my plan would be put into action the following week. On Tuesday, I packed up for the trip, and Jessica and I had our last session of seeming intimacy. She kissed me wonderfully before I left that night, and I wondered if she had seen the sadness in my eyes when I looked at her one last time. I noticed her expression change, but I wasn't sure what she was thinking. Instead of leaving town, I returned to my office and parked my car. I then went back to my desk to work late, which was not unusual, and the few people who were there never questioned my arrival. At approximately 7:30, the video camera turned on as Mark entered my house and tenderly kissed my soon-to-be ex-wife again. It was showtime. I used a phone app to turn off the video camera, stashed my cell phone in a drawer to avoid GPS tracking, and left the office quietly. I grabbed my folding electric bike from the car trunk. The electric motor allowed speeds up to 30 miles, covering 50 miles on a single charge. Wearing a black hoodie, I made sure no one noticed me and silently biked the 12-mile journey back home. The idea behind the bike was stealth, enabling me to return home quietly and unnoticed. Within 20 minutes, I parked the bike behind the house and entered through the open backsliding door. I left and stood quietly to ensure I wasn't discovered, listening for sounds from the bedroom. I confirmed they were occupied and my arrival wasn't known. I fetched a short-barreled rifle and an aluminum bat from the closet, placing the rifle outside the bedroom and holding the bat quietly. Opening the door to the candlelit room, their noise covered my approach. Without hesitation, I walked to the bed and delivered a strong blow to the side of his head. The dull thud of metal hitting flesh was overshadowed by the 250-pound man hitting the floor. Grabbing the rifle and turning on the light, Jessica realized what was happening, looking stunned and in shock. She screamed, "Oh God, no, please no, this can't be true. Why are you here? You should be away. Why are you with another man in my bed?" "That's a better question. Now shut up and pay attention." The big man, semi-conscious, sat against the wall with blood dripping from a 6-inch wound caused by a metal bat. Watching him regain consciousness, I pointed the rifle at him. "Damn it, this hurts. Why did you do that, dude?" He nervously looked at the rifle I was pointing. "Are you worried, big man? Are you afraid I will hurt you? I know what you two did behind my back, and today is payback. I'm going to deal with you, Mark. Tonight, you will die," teasingly. I continued, "Everything you worked for will disappear. I hope it was worth it, prick. Dude, if you deal with me, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. To hell with this. We will all die tonight. How does that sound, idiot?" I wanted to instill fear into both of them, with no plans to harm them. Their fear excited me. Jessica was crying, curled up, trying to cover herself. "Baby, please don't do anything stupid. I love you, I really do. Put the rifle down and let's talk about this," she pleaded. With an evil grin, I pointed the rifle at her. "Shut up. This is because you wanted adventures outside of our marriage. Whatever happens tonight is all you're doing." They knew they were in trouble and had to calm me down, or I would everyone. The rifle had custom-made loads with 25% salt and 75% capsicum, all yours, and pepper spray. I aimed to cause pain, maybe damage, not to harm, though I had no intention of going to jail. I wanted to seriously scare them, making the emotions last. After Big Mark recovered, he tried to rush at me, and I unloaded the first round. The explosion was loud, his screams louder. A few minutes later, as he sat writhing in pain, bleeding, I explained the plan, kicking him to get his attention. I looked at my soon-to-be ex-wife. Listen to me, and you too, my cheating wife. I'll leave in a few minutes, and you take this loser to the emergency room before he bleeds out. You won't call special services, you'll take him to the hospital in your car. You won't tell anyone how this happened or that I was involved. If any of you say I was involved or knew about your infidelity, the collected video, audio, and photos will go public. Don't fire my ex-wife. She'll need her job after the divorce. If you come after me or she refuses the divorce proposal, everything comes out. Get him to the hospital before he bleeds, and remember what I said. I left the same way I came, fixing the lock and closing the door. I put the bat and rifle in a bag, slung it over my shoulder, quietly leaving the area. I threw the bat and rifle into different parts of the river while riding my bike back to the office. I removed the surgical gloves and threw them away. Upon returning to the office, I stored my bike in the car and returned to my desk by 9 a.m. After that, I set off on my trip, bidding farewell to some coworkers, burning the midnight oil. To everyone's knowledge, my car never left the parking lot, and I stayed at my desk all evening. Accusations would be their word against mine with no proof. If they ever pointed fingers, Mark had surgery. He had to shave his head for 18 stitches due to a concussion. According to his story, he last remembered walking home with paperwork to his personal assistant before ending up in the hospital. He told the police he couldn't recall seeing. Deep breath, choosing to stay silent, aware that I could end his life and career. Jessica was extremely upset and didn't utter a word about the incident. All she mentioned was hearing a shot. When she went outside, she found Mark lying there and rushed him to the hospital, thinking there wasn't time to wait for an ambulance. Neither could explain why he was undressed, and both stuck to their stories. Mark's wife doubted him, causing significant problems. I spent the afternoon removing surveillance equipment, uploading everything to an encrypted cloud server, and tossing the equipment away. Any remaining evidence of their affair was now inaccessible in the cloud. Around 6 p.m., Jessica entered and found me in the living room with a bottle of my good whiskey. I sat quietly as she faced me on the couch. She looked shattered and sad. I had never seen her like this, and for a brief moment, I felt sorry for her. With tears in her eyes, she couldn't bear it and tried to explain everything. Johnny, what you witnessed was bad, but you need to know I wasn't in love with him. I know it seemed that way, and it must have hurt, but you know me. After intimacy, I need connection. It was all for you, baby. When you left, I hated being alone, and Mark kept me company. And yes, it got passionate, but it was just intimacy. You have to believe me. My mouth hung open in amazement at the incomprehensible excuse she made. Jessica, I heard your explanations, and despite you saying those words of love were meant for me, I can't help but believe they were for Mark. It's over, Jessica. 20 wonderful years wasted because of your boss and your infidelity. We both have to live with your actions forever. Thanks for the pain and suffering you caused me, I said sarcastically. What do we do now? She asked, tears streaming down her face. Well, we're finished. I'll never understand how you did this to me or why. I'll have to live with it forever. There's no way I can forgive what you did, but I'll keep my promise and not expose your infidelity. Sarah and your parents will never know they have such a. Instead of a mother and daughter, you'll have to explain why we're getting a divorce. But I warn you, don't make me the villain. If you do, it will end badly because I'll make sure everyone knows you're nothing more than a cheating adulteress. I'm putting the house up for sale, and in the meantime, you need to find a place to stay. Since you ruined everything, you need to move out. I'm not asking. This is what you'll do. Let me know where to send the divorce papers. Sign the papers and don't resist the divorce. Otherwise, it will be painful for you and your boyfriend. Crying into her hands, she tried to speak. He's not my boyfriend, and I don't love him. Can't we figure this out? Is there anything we can do? I know it's too late after what I did, but I can't live without you, and I'll do anything to keep us together. I never wanted to lose you. Please don't leave me. Jessica, if it had only been about intimacy, we might have had a chance to mend things through counseling or separation. But what really ended my love for you was that you shared a love with him that was supposed to be just for me. The words you spoke to him destroyed us and everything I felt for you. No, I'll never forget or forgive your betrayal. I never want to see or talk to you again. After the divorce is finalized, you'll vanish from my life forever. After hours of pleading for forgiveness, she left the next morning, staying with her parents until the house was sold. During the following week, the police interrogated me, trying to make me admit involvement. I hired a lawyer, informing them that without evidence, I wouldn't answer questions without a warrant. With no proof and an alibi, they left me alone. The incident was eventually reported as a random burglary and assault. Jessica and her family called, begging me to reconsider. I was told she loves me, can't live without me, and is sorry. They urged counseling, but I stopped answering calls, changed my number, and cut all ties. Yes, the loss was devastating. Every second of separation was painful. But I couldn't come to terms with her betrayal. Jessica, a 42-year-old single mother, lived on her salary in a one-bedroom apartment. The pleasant life she once enjoyed was gone. Her daughter and family blamed her for the failed marriage. Now alone, Mark was more focused on saving his own marriage, treated poorly at work. Jessica was blamed for Mark's physical and marital problems. Unable to work together, she was transferred to an administrative role with the same pay. Her new job was dull, and she lost her prestigious position working with one of the partners. News spread that she was one of Mark's ex-girlfriends, and she was treated accordingly. With a job she despised, no prospects for promotion, no friends, no husband, and a family blaming her for the divorce, she sank into depression. She cried every night, missing Johnny intensely. Her heart ached constantly, and thoughts of her actions haunted her. Sarah tried to help, but it seemed irreversible. Jessica neglected herself, eating poorly and drinking heavily, claiming without Johnny she had no reason to worry. When Sarah sought advice from her father, he sympathized but never reconciled. Stella orchestrated Mark's misery, making him pay for his infidelity. She dated younger men, keeping Mark around to cover expenses. Although they appeared together at events, they led separate lives. Mark would never have intimacy again and would never find love for the rest of his life. He'd always remember when his life changed due to his desire for someone else's wife. He was incredibly angry with me and wanted to injure me in the worst way possible. However, nothing happened for months. Later that year, I was having a drink with my colleagues when I was attacked and battered outside the bar. My friends came to help, but the attackers left before the police arrived. I spent 2 days in the hospital with broken ribs and 20 stitches. I believed they intended to do away with me, and if it weren't for my friends, they might have succeeded. I knew it was revenge for Mark, and I wasn't surprised at all. 6 weeks later, feeling much better, I called Mark's office. "Mr. Diamond, please," I told his secretary. "Sorry, he's at a meeting. Can I take a message?" "Yes, tell him to meet me at Old One Cog this Friday at the French deli across the street." "I'm sorry, sir. I don't schedule appointments with Mr. Diamond. Just leave a message." "Write it down. Friday, 1 p.m. French deli. Be there alone, Johnny. Just give it to him, and he'll understand what it means." "Thank you." Seated at a table facing the door, I waited for Johnny. When he walked in alone, I motioned for him to sit. "What do you want?" he asked, reining in his outburst. "Thank you for coming. Your people. You did a good job, but they didn't follow through because you ignored my warning. You forced me to act." Handing him a folded paper, I said, "Here's a link to a website created just for you. It operates from Syria with backup servers. It's untraceable. You're screwed. Check it out when you get back to your office." I omitted Jessica's face. "She shouldn't pay for your sins. After viewing the site, think about how your life will change." His anger grew. "You've already ruined my life. Just stop it, or we'll vanish. That's why we're here. I want to end this. You took away the most precious thing in my life, my wife. You ruined our 20-year marriage, and I can't let you go free. I risk being destroyed, but I'll avenge the thrashing your people gave me. Okay, calm down. What do you want? Two things that are not subject to discussion. You will stop any retaliation against me or anyone I know, including Jessica. You will deposit $1 million into this account by the end of the day on Friday. If the funds are not in the account by 9 o'clock p.m. on Friday, I will take action. So, this paltry amount I'm asking should be considered a gift. If I agree, how do I know that you still won't destroy me? I'm a man of my word. Trust me. I will say this. If you don't do this, then there is a 100% chance that this site will become famous by Saturday morning. I hope you suffer for the rest of your life for what you did to my happy marriage. The money was transferred. We sold the house and divided the property. Jessica had enough money to live a comfortable life if she continued to work or found another husband. Mark kept her working as part of our deal, but they were never close again. Jessica never remarried, rarely dated, and lived with the pain she caused both men. She had lost her marriage and the love of the man she wanted to be with for the rest of her life and now found herself alone and depressed. She died before her 50th birthday, a broken, sad woman. Only her daughter, Sarah, was present at the ceremony to scatter the ashes. Johnny continued to work for several more years and retired to a small town on the ocean. He married a nice woman who liked him mentally, but he could never replace the special love that only Jessica could give him. He never spoke to her again and only heard about her from Sarah, whom he adored. They talked every day and remained close, but Sarah rarely mentioned her mother because she knew her father still loved her and did not want to awaken his pain. Jessica's passing away saddened him, but it also brought final relief to the deep sadness he had kept locked away.